You have to accept that difference and being unusual in order to develop that peculiar thing that God has put in you.
Wow, it means there is that particular touch that only you can do.
Exactly. That's what we shall be talking about.
Okay, thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. And good morning once more, televiewers. This morning we shall be talking again on talents because this is our month on talking on talents. And we shall bring out the fact that talents make you distinct, different, and sometimes not always different and special. It could sometimes be different and queer, and you have to assume, you have to accept it, you have to live it out, you have to be who you really must be in order to fulfill your function in life, in society, before God and before others. As usual, we come back to our two definitions of talents by the same author, Zacharias Stanley Fomon. He says talents are special abilities that are given by God, the Creator, to human beings so that they may use these to function with in His universe. Second definition, talents are special instruments of service which God, the Creator, gives to human beings so that these may be used in the service of God, the service of others, and for personal service. These definitions you find in the book You Have a Talent by Zacharias Stanley Fomon. So central to these definitions of talents are these two expressions: special abilities, special instruments. This special means that it takes you away from the common. It is an ability, a capacity, a way of doing things, a way of understanding, a way of looking at the world that sets you apart. It makes you different from others, and different could mean that you'll be accepted because you're different or rejected because you're different. It could mean that you look queer, or you may look really, really special. So your talents could make you, on the positive end, special, distinguished, looked up to, praised, respected, promoted, useful, popular, rich, famous, and so on. But those same talents could make you look queer, bizarre, unusual, criticized, suspected, envied, hated, rivaled, exposed. And you may be so special that you lack privacy. Every little thing you do, photographers are after you. Somebody wants to announce, somebody wants to this, somebody wants to this. It could be, it's not always very pleasurable to have a talent that grows and gets distinct. So talents make you special, talents set you apart, talents make you special, talents make you unique. Actually, talents make you unique. Unique to be praised, unique to be hated, but whatever the case, unique to fit in God's universe in some way or the other. That's what talents do. So your talents will certainly separate you from the common, and this can be costly, lonely, and uncomfortable. You may need a lot of courage and inner strength to be yourself and to express yourself in new ways and new abilities. Your talents may, if you have to live out, and you must live out your talents, you will certainly be different. You would certainly see things in ways people have not been seeing things. You would certainly be doing them in ways that have not been done before. But the world truly does not like that which is different. It wants to fit everybody in one of its known molds. And if your talents don't fall in the direction of the known molds of what the world expects and what the world knows, you may have problems. In a society of failures, success could be a problem. In a poor society, it may cost you your life to be distinctly rich. Everyone is poor, but your talent is you know how to make money out of that poor situation. Everybody is complaining, you are getting rich. Everybody is failing, you are succeeding. Because your talents give you that capacity. Although you are succeeding and your wealth is being put to their service, the question could be, why is everyone else poor and you rich? Why is everyone failing and you succeeding? It could be a problem expressing your talents. It could be costly. It's good to know. A club of rich people will reject will reject somebody who is very different or who is super richer than them. The world doesn't always accept difference, and talent makes you different. That's why pioneering on a general note could be very costly, because you are breaking new grounds, you are bringing something new. Yet, no life and no work makes a mark unless it dares to be different. You will not impact the world except you dare to be different, and the difference corresponding to the abilities, to the qualities, to the special aptitudes God has given you. So for you to make an impact in this life, you have got to be very different, and that difference, again I say, is not something you create, it's not something you look for. You don't just try to be bizarre. In being different, you're just being what God meant you to be. Talents get you to that. You will not amount to anything unless you dare to be different. Being different has to do with discovering how very differently God built you and how very differently you can reach out to life. As I was preparing these lessons, I was just thinking about some people who presently are bringing a distinctive solution to the COVID situation. These people have been working in laboratories. Hardly have we understood what has been happening to them. Some of them who have given botanical answers have been in the bushes. They have been experimenting with plants. They've been looking very queer. And now there is an emergency situation. Their queer special situation is coming to a situation which is helpful to mankind. Their talents in understanding and using of plants, their talents in understanding and using of chemicals, that talent is becoming useful to humanity at this time. We have not always understood them. We've wondered why people of this standing should spend their time with plants, talking to them, experimenting, trying this and so on. They have looked so queer, but a talent has been being developed, and now it's useful to many people. It's saving lives. Talents are like that. You've got to accept yourself, accept the special interests that God has put in you, which you're expressing this way, or which you're experimenting this way or that way. Sooner or later, you will realize that these special abilities were needful for survival in this earth, and God placed you there to be the useful person to help the world. Now, let's talk about receiving talents. How do we receive talents? 1, talents are received from God as creator and by birth. We are born with certain distinctive qualities which immediately set us apart. It is a grace upon our lives which we receive from God as creator. We do not ask him. He takes the decision and puts this grace or the other grace upon us. We are simply born with a certain sensitivity to words, a certain sensitivity to difficult situations. We are born with certain verbal aptitudes. We're just set apart. Everybody who meets us when we talk, everybody who sees us when we use one part or other of our body, just realizes that something is different and we need to develop it. We have received that from God as creator, and I believe that we all come with some of those special abilities, but not all of those the special abilities we will need in life come at birth. Talents also come along into our lives later on. They were not there before. God, in his sovereignty and in response to our heart's attitude and to different situations, may bring different talents into our lives at different times. We're going to look at some of them. So secondly, talents are received from God in answer to personal prayer. We're going to get the example of Solomon in 1 Kings 3 verses 7 to 9. He has become king. It's a new situation and he is young, king of Israel. His father has just given him the throne. He's young, he's without experience, and leadership is a difficult thing. He doesn't know what to do. And then he looks at himself, he looks at what will be required for him to rule efficiently, and he doesn't find those qualities in him. He turns to God. In verse 7 of 1 Kings 3, we read, "Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count on number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" Solomon is praying, and Solomon is asking for the capacity, is asking for the aptitude, is asking for the talent of leadership. He turns to God and asks this from God in prayer. And God is going to answer. And what does he ask? He asks for a discerning heart. Not everybody has a discerning heart. And in leadership, you need a discerning heart, because leadership is so difficult. There are so many unforeseen things. You will have to know the truth without being told. You'll have to discern it. You'll have to know what ought to be done in the nation, what has to be done in your company, what has to be done in your tribe. The things leadership has to do are found in the secrets of God. How do you get to that? That was Solomon's problem, and Solomon prayed, and God decided to give him that. God answered his prayer, and God gave him the talent of discernment. Now, talents are also received from God because we have pleased him. Again, David is a good example. In 1 Kings 3, verses 11 to 13, we read, "So God said to him, since you have asked for this, and not long life or wealth for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked." So God is going to give him discernment in administering justice. That is a talent, a special ability that God is giving King Solomon at this time. Verse 12, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. So the talent of discernment in administering justice, God is giving to Solomon is so distinct, is so different. There is nothing like it before. There will be nothing like that after. So that talent set Solomon apart, and you're going to have the wisdom of David known all over the world. Kings and queens are going to travel all over to contemplate, to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. He's going to solve so many societal problems because at some moment in his life he faced a challenge and asked God for a special ability, and God gave it to him. And in addition, God says, moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for both riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. So he pleased God by his heart's attitude. God gave him the talent he asked for, and God gave him additional talents. These talents, these special abilities did not come to him at birth. They came to him at the face of responsibility. They came to him in answer to prayer. They came to him as surplus because God took pleasure in him, because he was pleasing to God. Talents, some talents will come to your life because God says, wow, what a wonderful daughter of mine. Wow, what a wonderful son of mine. He needs this quality, he needs this ability to succeed, and God will give them. So talents are also received from God because we have paid an extra price. 1 Kings 3 verse 14. 1 Kings 3 verse 14. God tells Solomon again, and if you walk in my ways and obey my statutes and commands as David your father did, I will give you a long life. Some people just know how to live very long. For some reason, they know how to go about it. They are just 100 and above, 100 and above. Long life is a talent. But here given as merit. If you do this, I will give you this ability. If you obey me in this, I will give you this quality. If you do this, some talents come to us on conditions, and we need to labor, and we need to pay a price. And they come to us not with birth, they come to us with use, they come to us a long life, they come to us in our transactions with God, they flow out of how we relate to God. Talents do come when we are mature. Also, talents are received from God in answer to the needs of another. Somebody has a need somewhere. He's been given a task to do, and God decides to reach out to another person and give that person the qualities it requires to help that other person in accomplishing a task given to him. In Numbers 8:19, the Bible says, of all the Israelites, I have given the Levites as gift to Aaron and his sons to do the work at the tent of meeting on behalf of the Israelites, and to make atonement for them, so that no plague will strike the Israelites when they go near the sanctuary. What happened? God called Aaron and his sons to do some particular work in the service of the Lord. He needed help, and God equipped and gave him the Levites to help him. The Levites received special abilities, a special capacity to stay in the temple, work only in the temple, do everything in the temple. You know, that's not given to everybody. It's not everybody who can stay there at the temple and pray. His life is around the temple and prayer and the sacrifices and all that. What about football? What about going to the club? What about that? To be able to enjoy it in the temple, God gave them those abilities. The talents of the Levites were given to them in relation to the call of God on the life of Aaron and his sons. Sometimes our talents don't make sense unless we find someone in whose service those talents will be employed. I have found that in the talent of interpretation, some people are the talent of interpretation for some people really only makes sense in their relationship with some other person. God calls a preacher in one language and then gives another preacher the ability to interpret what this preacher says in another language. And when if the relationship with the other preacher were to break, he becomes that talent sort of becomes useless. Or if he doesn't get into relationship with preacher, the talent never comes up. It's never useful. Find out, maybe your talent will only come to light in the service of some other person, in the service of some leader, in the service of some person. You have a talent of administration. Maybe you have to find out behind which political leader, behind which religious leader, behind which cultural leader your talent is going to come to life. Talents are also used in that way. About receiving talents again, more talents are received in life by multiplying what the Lord graciously gave us before. The Bible tells us the man who had received the 5 talents went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. So also the one with the 2 talents gained 2 more. What happened? The master, upon leaving, had given them one talent, another 5 talents, the other 2 talents. And the persons with the 5 talents and the 2 talents went to work. As they worked, they got more talents. Talents are gotten by exercising the talents that were there before. I found that I could speak well. That's a talent I got. In trying to speak well, I discovered that I also have, in addition to speaking well, the talent of interpretation. I can not only speak well, I can also say well what others are saying in another language. I have a talent of football. I make a lot of money. Then I realized that I also know how to manage other people. I don't only play well, I can build a team of other players and have a football team or handball team that does very well. One talent engenders another. In the exercise of talents, more talents come. So don't just sit there and say, I have one talent and bury it. If you got it, put it to work, and it's going to give birth to other talents. Talents are also received as a reward for doing better than others. Talents are received as a result of excellence. The person who received 5 talents worked so hard, they became 10 talents. When the master came back, what did he do? He took the talent of the person who did not work at that talents and he gave it to the person who already had talents. The more talents I have, the more talents I will have. The more I multiply my talents, the more I'll be rich in talents. Now let me speak to you who have decided to say, what do I know how to do? look at this person. He can do this, he can do that, he's capable, he's good all round. You know why? Because he is multiplying those talents. He is putting to work that which God has put to him, either at birth or along life as he was faced with challenges. Putting it together, your talents will make you special. Your talents will make you different. Your talents will make you bring solutions to society no one else will bring apart from you. Your talents make you special. If you develop your talents, you will help yourself, you will help your brothers and sisters, you will help your society, you will help the world. If you do not develop these talents, then you will suffer. Your immediate environment will suffer. The world will suffer because you buried the talents. Your responsibility is great. Whatever people think of you, think of your special abilities, you have the responsibility to discover them, to work at them, to put them at your service, at the service of others, at the service of God. It is a responsibility that has fallen to you, whether you like God or you don't like him, whether you believe him or you don't believe him. Here, because you live in the world and because you relate to the world, you have a responsibility because of God's endowment upon you. Rise up to those responsibilities and fulfill your special role upon the earth. God bless you. Thank you very much.